Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sid Alpha, and welcome to this week's Line of Sight, the Exclusively Games weekly news roundup. Now, last week I discussed my love for bacon and the apparent insult I may have inadvertently leveraged against pork-based breakfast foods, and I had apologized for my affront against the most delicious of breakfast foods in the history of ever. One smart aleck commenter attempted to try to call me out for not also mentioning pancakes or waffles. So, let me be clear. I love pancakes, I love waffles, I love the Republic. They are fantastic with syrup and some whipped cream, maybe some blueberries or strawberries, whatever catches your fancy, but they're not bacon. Therefore, your argument is invalid. They will always be the food that provides the excuse for eating bacon, but they can never, will never be equal to bacon. Also, as we've talked about bacon on this show for going on 3 weeks in a row now, let me know how you feel about bacon and if you'd wish this topic to persist down in the comments below. While you're at it, don't forget to feed the algorithm beast by liking and sharing these videos, as well as hitting that subscribe button and ringing the bell to make sure you don't miss a video. And if you're tired of waiting for more content, head over to exclusivelygames.com, where they have multiple stories uploaded every single day. Now, along with that, I did see that comment about not putting a link to the website in the description, and I will be making sure I do that moving forward. Thank you for reminding me. Now, let's get to what we're all here for, and this week, by some miracle, none of the stories will be surrounding Epic Games. Here's what we've got on the lineup. European Union calls out Valve and 5 other video games publishers over Geo-IP blocking. Bioware attempts to begin addressing the company's severe internal issues. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and statements about a lack of microtransactions. And the top story for the week, Sekiro Shadows Die Twice accessibility versus easy mode controversy. Now that we're all queued up, let's get started. Our first story for the week involves Valve Corporation and Geo-IP blocking within the European Union. Now, for those of you that are not aware of what Geo-IP blocking is in this particular context, Geo-IP blocking or locking is where a company like Valve's Steam storefront charges different prices in different regions due to local economic factors and general currency valuation differences. These price-varying tools are provided to the developer and the publishers on Steam, and while Valve provides recommended price differences based on a variety of different factors, the actual prices being set are completely controlled by the game's developers and publishers. These prices are then geo-locked in order to make certain that those specially discounted prices that are put in place due to economic factors of the country in which the game is being sold is only sold to people that happen to live there. There are other reasons for Geo-IP blocking, such as certain games violating that country's laws and cannot be sold there for whatever reason. However, it is this price locking that the European Union has an issue with. The European Union's Antitrust Commission released a statement aimed at Valve, Bandai Namco, Capcom, Focus Home Interactive, Koch Media, and ZeniMax, in which they outlined how the European Union's 27 member states are all mandated to have a single digital market. In the press release, Commissioner Margaret Vestager stated, "In a true digital single market, European consumers should have the right to buy and play video games of their choice regardless of where they live in the EU. Consumers should not be prevented from shopping around between member states to find the best available deal. Valve and the 5 PC video game publishers now have the chance to respond to our concerns." And per PC Gamer, Valve did release a response to the EU in which they said, "The region locks only applied to a small number of game titles. Approximately just 3% of all games using Steam and none of Valve's own games at the time were subject to the contested region locks in the European Economic Area. Valve believes that the European Commission's extension of liability to a platform provider in these circumstances is not supported by applicable law. Nonetheless, because of the European Commission's concerns, Valve actually turned off region locks within the European Economic Area starting in 2015, unless those region locks were necessary for local legal requirements such as German content laws or geographic limits on where the Steam partner is licensed to distribute the game. The elimination of region locks will also mean that publishers will likely raise prices in less affluent regions to avoid price arbitrage. There are no costs involved in sending activation keys from one country to another, and the activation key is all a user needs to activate and play a PC game. Meaning, in short, Valve had already turned off the applicable region locks in 2015, and as a result of this mandate by the EU, Valve expects that game publishers and developers will simply no longer offer price reductions within the 27 countries currently within the EU, and will instead keep the price fixed, resulting in higher prices for some countries than they might have otherwise gotten in order to be compliant with the EU regulatory standards on the single digital market. Our next story is about Bioware and the challenges they faced with Anthem and the severe internal issues being experienced. Recently, Jason Schreier released an investigative journalism piece over at Kotaku regarding Anthem's failures and how it all came to be. In that article, it was discovered that the internal problems at Bioware were numerous, including Electronic Arts' mandate to all development teams owned by them to exclusively use the Frostbite engine, an engine that, while it does make very attractive-looking games, is one that is not at all suited to RPG-style games that we most commonly see from Bioware. It also discussed a lack of focused leadership, a complete lack of direction with the game up until after the E3 unveiling of the game, any Bioware staff with experience in the Frostbite engine being shifted over to FIFA, a high turnover rate of staff, and severe job-related stress causing some to suffer full breakdowns and others to take multiple months off in order to get themselves back to some form of normalcy. Since that article, Bioware responded harshly to criticism, then Jason Schreier obtained an internal memo that confirmed the activities outlined in his original article. Now, most recently, Jason Schreier posted the following on Twitter. Bioware held a long all-hands meeting for staff on Wednesday to talk about various issues raised both internally and in Kotaku's reporting, production practices, Frostbite, etc. A couple of people I've talked to are optimistic about changes, others are far more skeptical. This also follows off of the back of fresh concerns being raised about the currently being developed Dragon Age 4 and unconfirmed reports that that game has also faced similar development issues and setbacks that also include a lack of direction and a lack of vision and persistent issues with adapting the Frostbite engine. Whether Bioware will be able to resolve their internal issues will remain to be seen. Our next story involves the recently announced Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. This upcoming installment in the Star Wars franchise is being currently developed by Respawn Entertainment, the same developers that created Titanfall, Titanfall 2, Apex Legends, and Titanfall Assault. The game itself follows the character Cal Kestis, a Jedi Padawan and survivor of the Emperor's Order 66. Where the game takes place within the lore is shortly after the events of Revenge of the Sith, during what Obi-Wan Kenobi termed the Dark Times. During the panel at the Star Wars Celebration, game director Stig Asmussen said, "Many Star Wars fans, ourselves included, are really interested in the Dark Times, so we wanted to explore that mysterious, dangerous period." The team at Lucasfilm have been amazing collaborators, helping us explore and further develop this part of the timeline where the Empire is at the height of its power and any remaining Jedi are in hiding. Also, during that panel, Respawn's CEO Vince Zampella announced that the game will be a single-player story with no multiplayer and no microtransactions. This was later confirmed by Electronic Arts on Twitter. While Electronic Arts keeps their loot boxes and card packs in other games, it would seem likely that, given the critical failures of the last two Battlefront games, that Electronic Arts may be content to simply leave well enough alone with this franchise, or at least with this game. And our top story for the week involves a bit of games industry drama, and given I do have a clear personal bias here, I do want it known that I personally hold little to no respect for the majority of traditional games media out there for a variety of reasons that aren't worth repeating here. I try to make these line-of-sight videos as balanced and factual as possible, so when I do have a strong personal bias against the subject being discussed, I think it only fair that you are made aware of that. The story got started, but it now is no longer simply limited to the video game Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, and involves the often memed joke that games journalists are terrible at video games. The game itself places the player as a ninja in a feudal Japan setting and was developed by From Software, the developers of Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Demon's Souls, and the Armored Core series, to name but a few, and From Software holds a general reputation of deliberately creating video games that will prove challenging to gamers. This meme was spurred on even further due to James Davenport's article on PC Gamer titled, "I beat Sekiro's final boss with cheats, and I feel fine." This continued on both before and after this article, with other traditional games media sites stating that the game needed an easy mode, also likening the game to Dark Souls more often than not. Gamers, by and large, pushed back against this assertion with the most often used arguments surrounding the vision of the developers. Then, traditional media started adding in the concept of accessibility into their argument and tying that to the argument about easy mode, which gave rise to a whole new argument surrounding the differences between accessibility, something that is accomplished through the employment of specialized hardware, such as specifically designed controllers, customizable controls for the game, and color efficiency settings, and the concept of an easy mode that could very much change the impact of emergent storytelling within the game and how that ties to narrative storytelling. This argument has also given rise to a whole new meme originally posted by this Twitter user, which states, "You cheated not only the game, but yourself. You didn't grow, you didn't improve, You took a shortcut and gained nothing. You experienced a hollow victory. Nothing was risked and nothing was gained. It's sad that you don't know the difference. This argument between games journos and gamers is one that has been fought for an extremely long time, and regardless of right or wrong, neither side is likely to give any ground. But that is all we have on the list for this week's Line of Sight. Thank you so much for tuning in. As a reminder, don't forget to hit that like button as well as the subscribe button and the bell. You all have been doing amazingly well with that, but we're still not to the point of getting 1,000 likes with 0 dislikes, so let's keep working at it, and I'm sure we'll be able to get there. Also, if you would like to hear more from me and my opinions on a lot of these topics, don't forget to check me out on my YouTube channel over at youtube.com/SidAlpha. The quest for 100,000 continues with just under 10,000 subscribers to go. I am seeking to hit that milestone on or before my birthday on June 9th, which is a bit of a tall order, so anything you can do to help that along would be very much appreciated. But thank you so much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, I am SidAlpha, and I'll see you next time.